hammer like that. Make sure that your metal is flat on the anvil, hammer at an angle like this, not like that. And by doing this, obviously not talking much less, working much harder, you can now see the metal. As I'm driving the metal in like this, okay, you can see the angle. As I'm driving the metal in, the metal is flaring out. So I'm going to put it down on its side and then gently coerce it back into 8mm thick. Yes, this is 8mm thick stock bar that we're working right. Now, obviously the anvil is dirty. It's my turn to go and hammer again. The metal is right up to temperature again. Basically, first thing, I'm going to clean my anvil off. This is fire scale that's left on the anvil. First hammer session. What I want to do is I want to get rid of all of this. Okay, I'm just wiping it off my anvil. The reason I'm getting rid of this is if I put some back. I put some back. There we go. I now go and place my metal on top of this and I hammer in. Obviously, the metal I'm driving down is hot. It's softer than the anvil face. This is cold, it's slag, it's fire scale, it's hot, harder than the actual metal itself. So this will impregnate itself in the metal. Okay. When I actually come to cleaning or grinding or finishing, polishing my blade, you'll all of a sudden notice all these little pit marks in your steel. And you can't figure out where they come from. And it's from that. So make sure that your anvil is clean before you start working. As we're going along, I will talk about forging safety and what you should take care of, but strike while the iron is hot is the same, and once again you can see it flare out, so we take care of that. And if you notice, as I'm hammering, you'll see the spot where I'm hammering is actually high lighting. It's lighting up. There's friction. Okay, but the metal is already cold. I'm not going to continue working any further. I clean off the anvil. There we go. The hammer that I'll be using on this session, okay, this one here is a 1.5 kilogram engineering crossbeam hammer. And obviously, as soon as I get closer to the anvil or to the tip there, I'm afraid I'm going to be hammering my anvil, so I'm moving my metal over the edge and I'm driving it down. Squaring this up again. And now you'll notice, and I'm going to zoom in, that the anvil has the tip of my steel there, as I had it over the edge, okay, and I'm driving it down, and it's pinched. How to get rid of that. But I'm going to over-emphasize that there, which is just a little trick from getting that tip nice. Before we continue, just talk about hammers. All engineering crossbeams, different weights. Right, we started off working with a 1.5 kilogram. Okay. This is the beast of my shop, and he does all the grunt work. But as soon as you've now seen in the video that as soon as the metal starts and you've got that tip, the chance of you hammering your anvil, okay, as opposed to the metal, is increases as the tip actually decreases. So you start working over the edge of the anvil. Now you can continue working with the heavy hammer, and it'll do the trick. The second thing is you can continue working with your metal like this if you take a smaller hammer, this being a 1 kilogram. Okay. Put that aside. The baby that does the most work in my shop is an 800 gram. Now you can see this one has taken a lot of work, a lot of beating. This is an 800 gram. If you can only afford one hammer, this is it. Okay, so now I am going to be working with an 800 gram. Done. So stepping over, getting my metal out. Okay, I said that what we're going to do is, let me zoom in here so you can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, I'm lipping the metal over the tip of the anvil. Then forging down on an edge, making sure not to hit my damn anvil. There we go, now you can see the little protrusion. If I now hammer that back, you can see the formation of the little sharp little tip. So that's a quick little one, and I'm obviously not going to try to flatten this with 800 gram. That's why I've got a 1.5 kilogram hammer. Okay, now you can see the tip is all nicely formed already. Okay, put a couple of of small blows on this side, a couple of small blows on that side will actually clean that up very, very nicely. But the okay, so now back to this one. Let me just zoom back in. And obviously, you'll see me whenever I am not working my steel. I'm not letting it rest on the anvil. The anvil is a heat sink and it's actually pulling the heat up. So all I want to do is I just want to finish up that section there. Okay, and then finishing up. Just making this look a tad neater. Okay, now dropping down to a smaller hammer. When I get to the close work, you'll notice how I'm holding my hammer. I'm choking the hammer completely to get more control over what I'm doing. Okay, my thumb is not on top of it, it's just to the side to get more control. Another tip, you're working with a forge, right? Your forge has got a lid and your coffee gets cold, and if you've watched some of my previous videos, you'll notice that I use tin mugs in my shop, right? Now what you can do with that tin mug, as opposed to a ceramic mug, is you can put it on top of the forge to heat up your coffee. Brilliant! Brilliant! Another workshop tip brought to you by Niels van der Berg. Alright, so now, there's my piece of steel. That's what we're aiming for, okay? But round at the top, okay? Now the next step is to decide how long my blade is going to be. On this knife, we know I want it around about 100 mils, so I'm just going to notch it. I'm giving myself a visual indicator as to where, number one, to do my heat treat, not heat treat, to actually heat it up. Let me just zoom in here so you can actually see the little notch there. There you can see the notch. I'm just going to highlight it with a chalk. If I can do a single line, that would be even better. So there, I've decided how long my cutting edge is going to be. Okay, and this is the cutting edge, not that. We'll get to that at a later stage. We'll actually see what happens. Cutting edge, notch it. I'm putting it on the side of the anvil, on the anvil there, and give it a whack at the top. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat up this section here. I don't want to heat up that, I don't want to heat up this. I only want to heat up where I'm working. When I'm going to come back out, I'm going to take that notch, add it at a 45-degree angle. That being 90 to my anvil surface. Okay, 45 degrees slanted forward on my blade. You can see the run out of the plunge cut going to be in there. That little notch sitting here. I'm then going to focus my blows right there to now start drawing out the heel of it. Okay. But now for my exercise. Basically, I explained to you what you're going to do is you're going to work on the flat side, get the notch that you created 90 degrees on the edge of the handle, then tilt it at a 45-degree angle. Your hammer is now not going to face down flat. You're going to tilt it at an angle, readjust your handle so that you've got this. In other words, okay, I don't want you to twist your hand, I want you to readjust the hand so that I hammer at that angle consistently. Get it up there, and then on that spot, do a blow. Do a blow. Same spot, every single time. And it works better if your metal's hot. Okay, you can see that it's starting to draw out the metal. So let's zoom in. The next time I come around, I'll actually show you how. Well, I'll zoom in so you can see that better. You can actually see how the metal has started to move. Okay. Now another rule, keeping in mind what we discussed, is dividing this up there and then halving your steel. You do not want to hit up there, and you do not want to hit back here. Reason is that when you eventually grind in your run out, or your plunge cut, which will then sit here, okay, we draw it on the other side. If I now hammer anywhere above here or back here, when I actually start grinding my run out, and I've got a blow that's sat there, this is hot, man. As soon as I start grinding this out, my run out will not be smooth, but it will have a little thing. So I'll have a run out that does that. Okay. And that little thing there, I don't want. So don't hammer there at all. Once again, let's do a little frowny face. You do not want to hammer that. Okay, easy as that. Right, so let's get cracking. Let me zoom this in again so you can actually see what I'm doing. Done. 1.5er on the edge, finding the same what I had before with me, and I'm working just this little edge here, making sure that I'm not going over my lines up to my desired edge thickness. And let me just zoom in here. Alright. There's my desired edge thickness. From 8mm down, mine is about 2.2 at this point in time, which is a bit thin. Seeing that I told my students not to stick anything smaller than 3mm, but I'll let that slide because I'm the teacher. Then I'm going to work up, and you're not a camera, so it doesn't help. Now I'm just going to work up a bit more. In other words, where my blows are now falling, where my previous blows were there, my blows are now falling just next to it to draw this out to the same thickness. Okay, I do another angle so you can actually see what I'm doing. I want to get this parallel, so if I draw on the handle, I want to do that. Okay, and by hammering right there, I can force this metal out. Once again, being conscious, I can't stress this enough, making sure that you do not hammer over half of that. Okay, what the other side will look like because of the anvil is there. It's not going over half of it because I'm not forcing the metal down over half of it. There's a lot of bladesmiths that will tell you that you constantly need to swap your metal around. In other words, hammer on this side, flip it around, hammer on that side, flip it around, hammer on that side to keep your edge in the middle. Now you haven't seen me do that because it's not necessary, because you'll see the edge is in the middle. Okay, why? Because black magic. No, just be conscious of what you're doing, how you're holding the steel, and making sure that your bar, and in this case what we've done is taken a piece of stock bar, welded a handle to it, okay, that bar is when you've got your metal on the handle, making sure that that hand grips it perfectly tight, and then wedge it to your side to make sure that your metal don't move. If your metal doesn't move and you've got it flat on the anvil, you will force it halfway through. If it's a proper anvil, okay, the forces that you exert on the anvil will actually hammer back, okay, therefore creating a centered run out, plunge cut, heel. Correct. So, like I mentioned, I'm no longer at a 45-degree angle. I can now open up, get more comfortable while I'm hammering, and work on my edge. Obviously, I'm working on a section, then I'm moving forward. Not being willy-nilly, not going all over the place, finish a section, then move on. And don't hit your ankle. This is the second freaking time. See, this is what happens when you try to show off. Okay, edge right about the same. You can see there that I've got thicker, so I need to just focus my blow right there. Get that edge out all the way to the front. And just heaten up my blows. Of course, I still have steel, or heaten my steel. Okay, and now you will notice that my edge, and let me just zoom in here, that my edge have fallen over to the one side. Okay, so let me just get my all-important pointer. My edge is now, if I highlight this, you'll see it very nicely. My edge has now fallen over to the one side because I've only hammered it on this side, so you can see the proper ridge line there. Okay, and it sits at an angle like this where that surface there is flat now. So my next heat, I'm just going to spend getting this in the middle again. Alright, done. So what I now need to do is I've got down to my 800 grams because I just want to move the metal. I don't want to move the metal, I just want to shift it. And you'll see I'm not putting a lot of effort into this, and there we go. My edge sits in the middle. Okay, and there we go, man. So everything is nice and straight. All I'm going to do now is, once again, like I mentioned, drive this down to create a flat spine, sort out my edge again. Okay, rid of that little flippy thingy I've got there. And all I'm doing now is I'm working on the thickness and straightness of my edge. Doing it quickly, not spending too much time thinking about it, just neatening it up. Okay, so now, just zoom in here quickly. We want to get rid of the little bulge I've got at the top of my knife. So this little bulge here, I want to get rid of that. Okay, so I do that by putting it on the anvil and then working my edge. Working my edge down. Okay, and putting it down back and working that, tilting my knife. Keep in mind what I said, as soon as I hit here, the anvil hits back. So by tilting my knife, I'm stretching my edge out, and I'm getting rid of the folds on the top, creating a nice little top. Okay. Alrighty. Now you'll notice that my knife isn't straight. Soft blows, just to straighten the metal. I don't want to dent the metal. What I want to do is I want to move it around. You'll notice that thickness there. Okay, the thickness in the tip there, where the bulge was, and I'm going to be moving that out later. Basically what we're going to do on this run, okay, with this heat, is sort out this little taper. So from 8mm through to just a standard taper, and you never want to hammer that taper more than halfway up your blade. So I'm only going to taper on that section there. Okay, makes sense? How's this achieved? Just by hammering down there, checking whether my taper is perfect. Taper is good. Pulling it out. And you'll notice my grip on my handle has changed on my hammer to include my thumb at the top. So I've got more control. I'm not hitting as hard. And I'm now working that taper so that it is flat from there right through to the top. And you can see my chalk is not touching the spine yet, so I can see the highlight there, or the highlight, the fringe that I need to get rid of. And every one of them is a focused blow. Okay, I'm not going to town on this. I'm checking. Oh, that's better. See that? Other side. Brilliant. So I'm going to heat it, give it one more heat, and then sort out that taper all the way. So I've got half my blade is a nice flat taper. Alright. You don't have to do it this way, okay? Thank you very much, sir. You don't have to do it this way because you guys are two in the shop. Works like an absolute charm. I am going to use chunky because I don't want to waste my own time. Okay, line that up, get it flat. And then get going. Right. Hammer, anvil, what I want to do, doesn't matter how you do it, is just move this metal here. Don't do that. Move this metal here down. That was one technique, and you can see the potential flaw in that technique. Second technique is now getting rid of that little sharp edge there, hammering on the spine. Okay, and now you can see how doing that is a lot safer. Okay. Also, if you've got an angle, one of the shoulders should be rounded. Use that to your advantage. Okay, by moving the metal around. I'm now using the anvil as the hammer. You can also use the cross beam of your hammer. Okay, to get in there, and then obviously hammering that in. I'm not too worried about that curvature because we are going to go to the grinder and we're going to grind it away. But if you want to end up with that type of thing on your blade, that's how you do it. Okay. You can also taper to the back. Next step is to heat up here, okay, and then start hammering to create a taper this way. Right. Why do we taper the handle? We don't have to. We taper the handle purely to remove weight from the handle, to make it more balanced in the hand. I'm back onto my 1.5 kilogram because what I do is I want to stretch this out, so I'm going to use the cross speed, okay? And once again, be careful of the nether regions, okay? Cross speeding spreads the metal in 180 degrees, and then stop talking crap, and actually start hammering. By lengthening the steel, it is also thinning out. So if I now go to the flat face, you can actually see the result much better. I focus my hammer blows up here. Okay, you can still see remnants of my cross feeding. With a lighter hammer, I'll now go and work out and get this taper nice and flat, and then make sure that it sits in the center of my blade. Once again, working on my taper. Sorry?
How thin must the back part be?
I'd suggest about 4.5, 5 more. Okay, so just a nice gradual taper now. As you can see, I'm not trying to heat it so that I move the metal at the same time. I'm trying to straighten it, because what we're going to be doing is just to level this out completely, we're going to be using the flatter. So what we've ended up with is a nice gradual taper. Going from, let me highlight this again. So you can see it's like gradual taper on the tang. Yeah? And then you can see the shape of the tang, and this is what I'm going to be working on now. What I want my knife, the handle part, to look like. Okay? Excellent. So what I'm doing is I'm just straightening my knife. My material at this point resembles a knife, but it's not a knife yet. Okay, so it's just nice and straight. And let me just zoom out. So what I did was just to straighten everything on the blade, get everything nicely in line. And I can decide what I want to do. Now I want to give this knife a slight curve. A couple of ways to do this. Just put it over there, hammer it there, and then you feel the shock in your hand at the back. Okay. Alternatively, you can lie it using this shoulder here, and that's it there. Put it on there and hammer it here. Okay. And by forcing the metal down, you'll automatically create a curve. Keeping in mind that that shoulder there, or even just those two there, will leave dents or marks in your metal. Okay, so heat up where you want it to bend, and don't put hot metal on that surface there, because it will cause a neck. Not in the hand, but in your metal. Like I mentioned, I can use that area there, that shoulder there, or that there, putting it on there, using my tang at the back to then go and move the metal. And I'm just maybe going to step in front of the camera at the moment. No. Okay. So putting it down there, and then hammering it right here, and you'll see the protruding curve I'm creating. Carrying depending on what time of day, where in the country, and I'm talking South Africa, whether I'm down at the coast, whether I'm up in Joburg Highlands, or whether I'm up in Belfast, morning, afternoon, and evening will have an effect on the colour that you see. So your idea of what a cherry red is, my idea of what a cherry red is, and Big Bumpy standing next to us whose idea of a cherry red is different. Learn to judge the temperature based on what the magnet tells you. The magnet will tell you that the carbon steel will lose its magnetism at 725 degrees Celsius, okay, which is where we're aiming to. Get same color right through, we're going to put it down so let it air cool by itself. It's going to cool down, it's going to take about 25 to 30 minutes to cool down to the touch. As soon as you can pick it up, hold on to it without screaming like a 9-year-old girl or leaving any of your skin on the actual metal. Then we're going to do it again. And we're then going to do it a third time. So between those 3 times, not exceeding 860 degrees Celsius, you would have relieved 95% of the stress pockets in the steel. Therefore, when you get to the actual quench, okay, the chances of your knife going skew or bending or anything of that line is drastically reduced. What I want to do now is you come and have a look at my knife here. You'll notice that my hammering does this. Okay. What I want to do is I want to create that surface like that. Yeah. So I need to get rid of that little hump that I've got here. On this side you can see it's nice and smooth. On that side I've obviously got a protrusion point that I need to get rid of. Okay, so I'll obviously taking a hammer and doing what I've learned doing this morning. Very, very quickly. That is a thing of the past. Okay. So that's why I said don't worry too much about the overall flatness of it, just get everything right. When you're at this stage, now you can start working on the profile again to make it look like the knife that you want to present. Now, obviously taking into consideration, we are going to be going to a grinder and we are going to clean this off. Now as a bladesmith, you would want to forge this thing to at least an 80% completion. Alright. We're currently at about a 70% if I sort the handle out. So I'm going to cut this off and then I'll forge my handle this way out. Maybe do a slight something there, I'm not 100% sure. I would want to put a hole there and then obviously holes for my pinning material as we are going to be putting handles on this. So thinking of that, you can go and forge it in, alright? But what we'll rather do is just cut it off at an angle and then grind that really in. Okay. So according to me, this blade is about 7% done. Okay. And for me, that's good enough. The tip there, you can see I can with the hammer just go and sort it up. Just one heat more, and that'll be sorted. Or I can just touch it on a grinder, zip, and problem solved. This is as a bladesmith, you need to make your pull as opposed to I'm going to spend and burn out X amount of gas, money-wise, in finishing all of these things off. Or you can just go to a grinder and just take that off. Time. Now, while you are still practicing the techniques, it's brilliant to actually go and hammer that in. Take a small hammer, I suggest a 600 gram, even a 400 gram little hammer, and then going in and you can clean up this brilliant, really, really nice. But as I make knives for a living, this is where I forge it, and this, if I start and I don't teach a class and I shut up and I actually get to do the job, this here should not take you more than 40 minutes. No. Okay. And that's if you take it leisurely. In a 2-hour knife challenge, you want to do this, if you spend more than a half an hour doing this, you actually waste it. Alright, but enough of that. That's what you want, everything nice and straight, and as it cools down you can see that it is pulling a bit. So you then sort her out. Okay. Done. Now I'm going to heat it up, non-magnetic all the way through, and I'm going to put it on the drying rack. I'm actually going to tilt up the camera so that you can see what I'm doing on the forge. At the forge so you can actually look at the temperature. Okay. It's unlike the Bowie where we put the flatter on it to make sure knife making and bladesmiths, everything's around getting that tape it to the edge, tape it to the tip, tape it to the tang.
Yeah.
The aim now is to heat up the knife, okay, from the tang right through to the tip. Everything not magnetic. So here we've got a magnet. Okay, it's not a trick magnet. There you can see it is non-magnetic, it's not sticking, but there it is sticking. And that should be fairly obvious. There it is sticking, there it's not sticking. Okay, so that's how you determine what is not magnetic. So you're not going to be heating up the metal up to that color, which is yellow, orange. Okay, it's not red. So what you're going to be doing now, see that one is way too hot already. You are just going to in and out of the forge, in and out of the forge, heating up the thickest part of your metal first, right? Based on the spine, heating up the thickest part of your metal first, and then going in and out of the forge to get the entire piece that same color. Okay, there you can see color consistently right through the entire thing. Okay? As he's now cooling down, you can see the edge